I will just make a short introduction on the topic and then pass over to our comrades. And I please the interpreters, if I speak too fast, just stop me. I will try to respect the velocity of my words. So this last workshop is called Anti-fascism between an ideology of integration and progressive practice. And this is our last journey through the European continent, looking for like anti-fascism. But if we look at the title, anti-fascism is declined in two different ways. So we have two elements we have to take in consideration when we speak about anti-fascism. On the one side, anti-fascism is a tool, a discursive and political tool of the ruling classes with the objective of first modify or even eliminate the history of the labor movement. We saw it with the speeches around Serbia, how the partisan struggle is like criminalized. We have it also today in Italy, where the 25th of April, we all know that this is the day of the liberation from Nazi fascism in Italy, is now, they are trying to recall it not the Liberation Day, but the Liberty Day, so put it like this liberal tone of the liberation that our comrades at that day did. So there is like this historical moment. They want to erase, they want to modify and eliminate the history of the workers' movement. But on the other hand, there is also like a perspective for the future in this discursive and political tool of the ruling class. They want to prevent the rising and the strengthening of what in France they call une gauche de rupture, so a left that is breaking with the established order. We see it very good in France, and we see it also in other countries, like in Germany, where they try to prevent a strengthening of the pro-Palestine movement via like attributing them definitions like anti-Semitic and so on and so on. So there is an intersection between liberalism and far right. Again, if the French word, I think it's very, very clear, like the extreme center, l'extrême centre, it's today the best manifestation of this tentative of the liberal forces to use anti-fascism in order to just stop the strengthening of a radical left. But of course, on the other side, the title is also imposing a reflection of anti-fascism as a progressive practice. And Vijay, in the last days, he quoted different times Palmiro Togliatti, the Italian communist that in the 30s was in Moscow, teaching to the Italian comrades living there like what fascism is. And I think we have to take this as an orientation also to really like it was also mentioned, like make a concrete analysis of the concrete situation. Today we need to do it also. Palmiro Togliatti was showing that fascism, it's not just the black shirts and the electoral force, but it was a capacity to dismantle worker organizations and replace them with organizations of the fascist organization. So they developed their own unions, they developed their own youth organizations, and they developed, for example, the after-work activities that were very important to create like the social base with a cultural link to the fascist ideology. So we today also, as we did in the last 2 days, we have to develop an idea of what fascism is to answer with anti-fascist practices that cannot just be like the reaction on the streets against fascists, that cannot only just be electoral alliances for fight against far-right parties in the parliament, but also a lot of different other practices. And this is how we will approach and how our speakers will approach the question. So I will introduce shortly our four comrades here. The first speaker is Aleksandar Djenic, okay, from Serbia. He's the coordinator of Antifa International in Serbia. He will focus on how fascist collaborators were rehabilitated and the socialist heritage was destroyed in Serbia as a result of the country's accession process in the European Union. Then we will go, our journey leads us to Italy again. We have with us Cinzia Della Porta. She's responsible of the international office of the USB. It's the grassroots union of Italy. That is really an alternative to the three main unions totally integrated in the bourgeois state system in Italy. She will reflect on a class-oriented trade union in the context of decades of neoliberal and austerity politics led not only by right forces, but above all also by central left forces. So the question is, how can a grassroots union today have a real class-oriented politics and so face also the rising far right? Then we will return to Germany, and Nasrin Dül, she's a founding member of Students Against Right-Wing Incitement, Studis gegen rechte Hetze. She will focus on how the ruling class in Germany is using anti-fascism to legitimate racist and warmongering practices, and she will also reflect on concrete practices for the students' movement, concrete anti-fascist practices for the students' movement. And last but not least, we will go to France with Ernest Moret. He's an Antifa activist and publisher. He will discuss the weakness of a purely moral anti-fascism dominant in France and in the West in general. And he will also try to develop like perspectives of anti-fascist alliance politics on the concrete example of France, of course, but also as an indication on how we should move all over Europe. So I will not boring you more, and I will pass the word to Alexander. Please, the floor is yours.